everyone, I'm Nicole Melauta, and today's topic is all about the general rules in income taxation. So, before I further discuss the general rule in income taxation, let me define first what is general rule and income taxation. When we say general rule, ito ay pangkalatang tuntunin wherein it is a usual way of doing things appropriately. And also, it is applicable to a class of cases or circumstances. When we say income taxation, on the other hand, it is refers to a type of tax that governments impose in income generated by businesses and individuals within their jurisdiction. Meaning to say, yung income tax o buwis sa kita po ay nakapataw o ipinataw sa mga kita na nabuo o nakuha ng mga negosyo at individual sa loob ng kanilang nasasakupan. So now, let us proceed to the main topic, which is the general rules in income taxation. Dito po, we have two types of income tax payers. When we say taxpayers, ito po yung nagbabayad ng buwis. And a taxpayer may be an individual or business entity that is obligated to pay o magbayad po ng buwis or taxes to a federal, state, or local government. So, the two types of income taxpayers are individual taxpayers and corporate taxpayers. Later on, i-discuss ko po kung ano ba ang ibig sabihin ng mga may check sa table na ito. For now, let's have an overview first to what and who are the individual taxpayers and corporate taxpayers. When we say individual taxpayers, ito po yung mga tao or person na may kita na nagmula po sa loob or within its territorial jurisdiction. As you can see on the table, we have a classifications of taxpayers under individual taxpayers. The first one is the resident citizen. Resident citizen is a Filipino citizen residing in the Philippines o Filipino citizen po na permanenteng naninirahan sa loob ng bansang Pilipinas. The second one is the non-resident citizen. When we say non-resident citizen, ito po ay Filipino citizen din that under Section 22 of National Internal Revenue Code of the Philippines, it is someone who have stayed or nanatili po sa labas or outside the Philippines, wherein it has an established proof of satisfaction to the Commissioner of Internal Revenue for his or her intention to permanently reside o manirahan sa ibang bansa as an immigrant or employee. The third one is the resident alien. So the term resident alien is pertains to an individual who is not a citizen of the Philippines o hindi po mamamayan ng Pilipinas, but whose residence is within the Philippines. So, yung tinutukoy po na resident alien ay yung mga foreigner o yung po mga dayo na pumupunta po dito sa Pilipinas with no definite intention of staying. The fourth one or the last taxpayers under individual taxpayer is the non-resident alien. Kapag sinabi naman po natin non-resident alien, it pertains to an individual who is not a citizen and a resident in the Philippines. Let us move on to the second type of taxpayer, which is the corporate taxpayer. The term corporate taxpayer is a taxpayer wherein the tax paid by business or tax paid on the profits of a corporation. Ibig sabihin, yung buwis po na ibinabayad ng mga kumpanya ay nanggaling o kinukuha po sa mga kita ng mga korporasyon. Halimbawa na lamang po ng mga corporate taxpayers ay mga partnerships, joint stock companies, association, or insurance companies. Also, corporation includes profit-oriented and non-profit institutions such as charitable institutions, cooperatives, government agencies and instrumentalities, associations, leagues, civic or religious, and other organizations. So, makikita po natin sa table na there are three classifications of taxpayers under corporate taxpayers. So, una na po dito ay ang domestic corporation. Kapag sinabi po nating domestic corporation, ito sa corporation incorporated in a given state and doing business in that same state. Ibig sabihin po, ito ay isang business entity na nakatala bilang isang korporasyon na organisado, nakarehistro at umiiral po sa ilalim ng mga batas ng Pilipinas. The second one is the resident foreign corporation, meaning it is a foreign corporation na kung saan they operates and conducts a business here in the Philippines sa pamagitan po ng pagbuo ng establishmento dito sa Pilipinas. Just like for the example is the Hotel Sogo branch, wherein it is a foreign corporate business from foreign resident na may permanent establishment na po dito sa Pilipinas. The third one is the non-resident foreign corporation. So the non-resident foreign corporation is a corporation na hindi po nagko-conduct or nagsasagawa ng negosyo dito sa Pilipinas. So now, we are here in the general rules in income taxation. As I said earlier, ipapaliwanag ko po yung may mga check kanina sa table. It is important to know the territorial source of income for tax purposes. Meron po tayong two major income classifications as two territorial source, namely, income derived from within and income derived without or outside the Philippines. So, sa table po na ito, makikita po natin kung sino-sino sa mga individual taxpayers or corporate taxpayers ang nabubuwisan sa kinikita o taxable po sa labas at loob ng Pilipinas. As a rule, if income is derived within the Philippines, then it is taxable within the Philippine itself. Ibig sabihin, kung yung kita mo po or income mo po ay nanggagaling or nakukuha mo po dito sa sarili mong bansa, then ikaw po ay considered as a taxable within the Philippines or ikaw po ay nabubuwisan sa loob ng Pilipinas. While on the other hand, if income is derived or earned outside the Philippines, then ikaw po ay nabubuwisan sa labas ng country or ng bansa. So, balik po tayo sa table. As you can see, under individual taxpayers, kung ikaw ay resident citizen dito sa Pilipinas at ang income mo po ay nakukuha mo or na-earn mo dito sa Pilipinas, then you are considered as a taxable individual taxpayer within the Philippines. At kung ikaw naman po ay resident Filipino citizen na nasa ibang bansa, then yung income mo po ay doon mo nakukuha or doon nagmumula, ikaw po ay considered as a taxable individual taxpayer without the Philippines. Next one, kung ikaw ay non-resident citizen at yung income mo po ay na-earn mo dito sa Pilipinas, so you are considered as a taxable individual taxpayer sa loob or within the Philippines. And if you are a resident alien or non-resident alien here in the Philippines, at dito mo rin po na-earn yung income mo, then you are considered as a taxable individual taxpayer within the Philippines. On the other hand, under naman po sa corporate taxpayers, kung ikaw po ay may domestic corporation dito sa loob at labas ng Pilipinas, ikaw ay considered po as a taxable corporate taxpayers within and without the Philippines. Kung baga, kung saan po nakadestiny yung business mo or corporation mo, doon po directly ibabayaran yung buwis. And if you are a resident foreign with foreign corporation here in the Philippines, so you are considered as a taxable corporate taxpayers within the Philippines as long as dito pa rin po conducted at operated yung business mo. And lastly, if you are non-resident foreign corporation here in the Philippines, then considered ka po as a taxable corporate taxpayers within the Philippines kasi andito ka po sa Pilipinas. All in all, the general rules on income taxation on individual taxpayer is you are considered as taxable individual taxpayer within and without the Philippines as a resident citizen in the country if and only if the income you earned is derived within and without the Philippines. Also, the general rules in income taxation on individual taxpayer, you are considered as a taxable individual taxpayer within the Philippines, either non-resident citizen, resident alien, and non-resident alien if and only if the income you earned is derived within the Philippines. On the other hand, the general rules on income taxation on corporate taxpayers is you are considered as a taxable corporate taxpayers within and without the Philippines as a domestic corporation if and only if the business income earned is derived within the Philippines and outside the Philippines. The general rules on income taxation on corporate taxpayers, you are considered as a taxable corporate taxpayers within the Philippines as a resident foreign and non-resident foreign corporation if and only if the business income earned within the Philippines. Note that, consistent with the territoriality rule, all taxpayers, except resident citizens and domestic corporations, are taxable only or nabubuwisan lamang po sa kinikita sa loob o within the Philippines. Also, the National Internal Revenue Code of the Philippines uses the term without the Philippines to mean outside the Philippines. Or for example po, yung income mo po na na-earned mo ay considered na outside the Philippines kasi it derived outside the Philippines. So that is the general rules in income taxation of individual taxpayers and corporate taxpayers within and without or outside the Philippines. Again, I'm Nicole Milauta, and that's all. Thank you. Keep safe, everyone.